Beneath the armor, the battlefield was silent now. The clang of swords, the cries of warriors, and the chaos of war had faded into a still and eerie quiet. Amid the remnants of the fight stood Kale, a seasoned knight whose gleaming armor bore the marks of countless battles. The dents and scratches were badges of honor, a testament to his resilience. But the weight of the armor was nothing compared to the weight in his heart. Kale had always believed strength was everything. From his earliest days in training, he had been taught to suppress emotion, to see vulnerability as a weakness. The armor he wore was not just a shield against swords and arrows but also against the world, a barrier between him and the pain of loss, fear, and doubt. As he surveyed the battlefield, his gaze fell upon a young squire struggling to rise. The boy's armor was too large, slipping from his shoulders, and his face was streaked with dirt and tears. Kale approached and offered a hand. The squire hesitated before taking it, his eyes filled with a mix of gratitude and shame. "I'm sorry, Sir Kale," the boy stammered. "I failed. I was afraid." Kale looked at the boy and saw his younger self, a frightened apprentice trying desperately to prove his worth. For the first time, Kale's own armor felt suffocating, as though it were holding in years of unspoken pain and unacknowledged fears. He knelt beside the boy and removed his helmet, revealing a face lined with age and experience, but also a softness rarely shown. "Fear doesn't make you weak," Kale said gently. "Pretending it isn't there does. Strength isn't about never falling, it's about rising every time you do. And sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is admit you're afraid." The boy's eyes widened. He had expected a lecture on courage, not an admission of vulnerability from the legendary knight. For the first time, he felt seen, not as a failure but as someone who could grow. That night, Kale sat by the campfire, his armor set aside. The soldiers around him noticed for the first time that their leader wasn't just a warrior, he was a man with stories, with scars that ran deeper than the surface. Kale spoke not of his victories but of the battles he had lost, the comrades he had mourned, and the moments when he had felt like giving up. "We all wear armor," he said to the gathered soldiers. "Some of it is metal, forged in fire. But most of it is invisible, built from the walls we raise to protect ourselves. Beneath it, we're all the same, fragile, human, and yearning for connection. True strength isn't in the armor. It's in having the courage to take it off." The campfire crackled softly as his words settled over the group. One by one, the soldiers began to share their own fears and struggles. The camaraderie that grew that night was unlike any they had known before. They were no longer just warriors fighting a common enemy, they were people supporting each other in their shared humanity. The unseen battle in the days that followed, Kale led his men with a newfound openness. His vulnerability became his greatest strength, inspiring loyalty and trust. The legend of Kale the Invincible was replaced by a truer legacy, Kale the Compassionate, the knight who taught others that beneath every armor lies a heart worth protecting. As the war dragged on, Kale's leadership style began to change the dynamics of his army. Instead of rigid discipline, the soldiers fostered mutual respect and understanding. Kale initiated a tradition where, after every battle, the soldiers would gather to share their stories, not of triumph, but of struggle. This practice not only strengthened their bonds but also helped them heal the unseen wounds of war. One evening, a veteran soldier named Garrick stood to speak. Known for his stoic demeanor, Garrick surprised everyone by recounting a painful memory of losing his family to a raid years ago. "I thought burying it would make me stronger," he said, his voice trembling. "But carrying it alone nearly broke me. Tonight, for the first time, I feel lighter." Kale's heart swelled with pride as he witnessed the transformation in his men. The battlefield was no longer just a place of bloodshed but also a crucible where they forged resilience together. He realized that his role as a leader was not to shield them from pain but to show them how to face it with courage. A legacy of compassion. Years later, after the war had ended, Kale retired to a quiet village. But his influence continued to ripple through the kingdom. His former soldiers carried his teachings into their communities, becoming leaders who valued empathy as much as strength. Cale spent his days mentoring the next generation of knights, ensuring they understood that true heroism lay not in conquest but in connection. His story spread far and wide, inspiring ballads and tales that would be told for centuries. In his final days, Cale penned a memoir titled Beneath the Armor, chronicling his journey from a hardened warrior to a compassionate leader. The book became a treasured guide for those seeking to balance strength with vulnerability. When Cale passed away, the kingdom mourned not just a knight but a symbol of humanity's capacity for growth and redemption. His armor was placed in the Royal Museum, accompanied by an inscription that read, "Beneath the armor lies a heart. And within the heart lies the strength to change the world." The eternal lesson. Decades after Cale's passing, his story continued to influence lives in unexpected ways. In a bustling city, far from the fields Cale once walked, a young blacksmith named Alric stumbled upon Cale's memoir in a dusty library. Alric had grown up hearing tales of great warriors, but Cale's words spoke to a part of him he had long ignored. Inspired, Alric began forging a new kind of armor, not for battle, but as symbols of unity. Each piece bore intricate carvings representing shared human struggles and triumphs. He called them Cale's emblems, and they became cherished tokens exchanged among communities as gestures of peace and solidarity. The emblems sparked a movement. Across the kingdom, people began to embrace Cale's philosophy of vulnerability and connection. Schools taught children about the importance of empathy, leaders adopted policies that prioritized the well-being of their people, and artists created works celebrating the beauty of the human spirit. Cale's legacy was no longer confined to history books. It lived in the actions of those who found courage in his words, in the bonds forged between individuals who dared to lower their defenses, and in the enduring belief that beneath every armor lies the power to heal and transform the world.